Hello and welcome to the Minds on the Frontline Podcast. This podcast is dedicated to meaningful conversations that inform, educate, and inspire frontline workers, their families, and the public. Our mission is to shed light on the mental and behavioral health challenges faced by those on the front lines while providing valuable insights and real-world solutions. Minds on the Frontline is brought to you by the Frontline Strong Together 5 program. FST5 offers streamlined access to behavioral and mental health services along with crisis resources for Michigan's Frontline 5 workers and their families. This support encompasses all professional, part-time, and volunteer firefighters, EMS personnel, law enforcement officers, corrections officers, and 911 dispatchers in Michigan, as well as their immediate family members. First responders and mental health experts have collaboratively created FST5 to provide 24/7 live support, effective resources, and cutting-edge services aimed at preventing and alleviating PTSD, anxiety, depression, and other mental and behavioral health challenges related to frontline work. Need help now? If you are a frontline worker in Michigan or an immediate family member facing any crisis, whether work-related, substance abuse, depression, relationship issues, finances, or other concerns, please reach out by calling 1-833-34-STRONG or visit fst5.org for more information. I'm Jeff Lassers, one of your hosts. I'm a professional firefighter, paramedic, educator, and content creator. Minds on the Frontline is co-hosted by Mike Mattern, also a professional firefighter and paramedic. In addition, Mike is a peer support team member for his fire department and the FST5 program. In episode 52, we sat down with Scott Stockinger and his 2 adult children, who gave us an honest glimpse into what it is like to grow up with a firefighter dad. Today, Scott returns with his wife, Tracy, to discuss marriage, Maydays, and how they've made it work for over 20 years of work shifts, stress, and sacrifice. From reentry struggles to trust, communication, and raising kids under pressure, this episode delves into the real-life dynamics of a first responder marriage. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all Minds on the Frontline podcast social media platforms. Head to the episode description to find our social media links. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Good afternoon, Tracy and Scott. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Welcome back, Scott.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of people contacted us about the episode with you and your 2 fine children.
That's awesome.
And even Dr. A, who's basically the clinical expert running this program, and everybody else said, where's his wife? And can we get her perspective as well? Right? And so having the background with already your kids is such a great foundation, and then bring in Mama Bear to give us the other side of this.
To defend everything I've done.
No.
All right, Tracy, but before we get into the meat and potatoes of today, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
I am Tracy Stockinger. I'm a mom. My career is a nurse. Right now, my hobby is pottery, so I've been getting into that. So you got to have a hobby, so that's
Love that.
where I'm at right now.
How long you been into the pottery?
It's been a couple years now.
Yeah?
It's a lot more to it. Yeah, it's fun. Love it.
You guys doing the ghost thing where you guys are putting
I did.
Never
You know,
did the ghost
it's
yet.
Okay.
Wanted to do it, haven't done it yet.
Just checking. There's still time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still time, Scott. We're helping you out.
What kind of nursing were you doing?
My background has been mostly trauma. We met at the hospital, so we have a strong connection there. We met as nurses first, and then discussed him going into the fire department. I've done a little bit of everything. That's the part with firemen, nurses. You get that. We get the shifts. We get the over and lack of sleep. We get the medical terminology, the disease process. There is that kind of connection there.
The smells.
The smells. Oh, you can just say it, and we know exactly what the
Right.
smell. Yeah.
There's certainly a lot of connection there to realize what people are going through in a shared experience.
Yes.
And I think there's also, and I think this is why you see it so commonly, that firefighters and nurses, police officers and nurses, school teachers, firefighters, it's a very common thing.
Scheduling, too.
It's, a lot of it kind of hooks up.
Scheduling's a whole
Everybody's
nother
got
show.
weird schedules.
Yes.
Right.
And then you have to, like we said, number one thing, you got to be flexible and adapting because it is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So in our last episode, we sat down with your kids, and they're very lovely. Your son's hair is beautiful.
Oh, please. Please.
But they're great kids. They're
Yes.
awesome. I say kids because I'm over 40 now and I'm allowed to say
Yeah.
that.
Young adults.
Young adults, right.
Yes.
But we got started with the impetus of how this reflected back on Scott was some conversations during COVID. As many things were revealed during the time of lockdowns, many conversations were had, or maybe even avoided by many people. But you guys kind of got into the meat and potatoes of Scott's career and its impact on the family, essentially. And we got your kids' point of view. I kind of want to get yours. What do you recall from that conversation, and what sticks with you?
That conversation the kids go back to, it was literally a typical family dinner, and we've been huge throughout his whole career, or our career of family dinners. Open concept. Oh, kids can talk openly.
TV off.
Oh, definitely. Phones off. I mean, well, phones, yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's still a little fight there, but yeah, phones pretty much. But the kids are great. You let them start talking and they start bringing out. And at the time, they started basing concerns. My daughter was the first brought it up with it was no longer injury, it was more the disease. I'm afraid you're going to catch something. What are you doing to protect yourself? And then COVID was there, and it's a big thing. Obviously, we didn't stop working. We kept working. So they were just huge on more of the disease, and that, he looks over and he goes, "You're worried?" And I'm like, yeah. Funny enough, firefighter household, I don't know how many other people do this, but it's not have a good day. It's always, "Bye, babe, love you. Be safe."
Be safe.
Or be safe.
Yeah.
It's always, come home safe or keep everybody safe. It's never a have a good day or I'll see you at 5.
No goodbye is taken for granted.
No,
Yes.
it's a
No.
kiss before you leave, and it's a kiss, and we've come over the years. It's a kiss and hug when you get home. It's it's that reconnect. So yeah, we were he was shocked that we were still worried, but I said we're worried in a different way. When you're little, the kids act out with a whole bunch of questions. You got to go to the fire station. You got to see what Dad's doing and all that kind of stuff. And you get over that, and then you start with the conversations, the injuries, and how you can get hurt. And now kids are older. Now we're into a disease process.
Now they they can understand the news with better understanding as young adults.
Absolutely.
So it's not like just fear for them. They're actually kind of taking in information and understanding the impact.
Yeah, and it's a great way to see your kids mature on the questions they ask, and how are you protecting, and how is your buddy protecting, and what are they doing, and what do we do, and should we be doing this, or is that really not true, or how are we doing
Critical
it?
thinking. It's fun to watch young
yeah.
people you made be critical thinkers. That's one of my goals for my kids.
Oh, sit
Huge
back and
one.
just
Just
for
critical
sure.
thinking. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm just be critical of what you
Just think
think.
it through.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. So, hearing her feedback, is that what in line did that surprise you?
Yeah, my biggest surprise was, first of all, that they were worried about me at all. I thought I put things into play. I thought I did all the right things, or things to make sure that they were more comfortable. Talked about my training, brought them to the station, made sure they had dinner with me, saw where I slept. All the things that I was hoping would make them more comfortable. It did. It made them more comfortable, but I literally thought they'd stop worrying about it.
But to you, it's like, see, I did that. Now I've eliminated the worry.
Yeah.
To them, they're like, no, you've reduced it significantly.
Sure,
but you
I've
can't
helped,
take
but
it all
doesn't
away.
matter. You can't take it all away. Hence the reason why, have a safe day, or I love you, not have a good day. It's just make it home.
Yeah. That was good for that snapshot when they were that age. But then as they grow, the worries change, the thought processes change, things like that. Now, Tracy, we were talking about the emotional impact that this job has not only on the first responders, but also the spouses, the kids at home. What worried you the most about Scott's job when he first started versus where he's at now in his career?
Yeah, you've got quite a few years to compare those two.
Yeah, we're 23 years into it, so we're into it. We're on that tail end
I like
out.
the we.
Yes.
It is a we.
It is a we.
There's no doubt.
If you don't buy, if you're dating and you're not talking we, you are not going to make it.
Yep.
It's a lot. So the beginning, it's kind of like a honeymoon for you guys. You're getting in there. You're the probies. You got to be to work. Everything revolves around you and your job, and the house is kind of secondary. And if you're new, like we were brand new. My daughter was just born, and so I had 2 at home. I mean, I'm trying to be new mom, 24 hours, that kind of thing. So
you're working.
And I'm working. So I'm doing a nursing job, and God bless
12-hour
us nurses,
shifts.
12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
I was doing like 3-12 midnight shifts on the weekends, so you had the days
Yowza.
off. That's the biggest thing with nursing. We can be flexible, and my job has literally been the flexible one. So my worries in the beginning wasn't the injury. It was more like, oh, just get off probation. Okay, now what's the next step? And then you guys just don't stay in that position. You go from a probie, you go to the, what is it, firefighter 1, firefighter 2. You're testing for lieutenant and, even testing all the way up to BC. So that part has really kind of, you're growing and changing. Your job isn't staying the same, so we're having to move and evolve around it. So the worries go that way. So in the beginning, it was more fun and, T-shirts and, wear your shirt. And then,
right.
you're 5-10 years into it. You wear another firefighting T-shirt and I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Stop
wearing them to dinner
We
with
have
your
so
friends.
many of them.
Yes, so many of them, on vacation.
Every
It's like,
vacation,
you
you
do
go get one
not-
from the local firehouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can buy into that one, but you cannot wear it out to dinner.
Everywhere.
Yes.
What are you, at a convention?
Yes. So the job part changes. Your positions were changing, so your concerns were changing then too. And you just, with the fire station, you're adding layers and layers and more growth onto it. Yeah. So you have to be flexible and know that there's going to be changes. So in the beginning, the injury stuff, it would be like he had this beautiful, it's a gorgeous picture of him in a window, house burning. It's a cool fireman shot. We're all excited. I'm framing it, 2-3 days later. By the way, there's a Christmas light around my neck, and I couldn't make entry past the beginning of the door. When now the picture is no longer beautiful, and I'm looking in, magnifying glass. Where is this wire? What did you do? And so it kind of took that stuff. He would tell me a day or two later. It was great that Scott and I have always been, and we made sure from the beginning, open and honest. You can't tell me
you guys have the vibe of zero hiding anything.
No, but number one, trust.
Trust.
He's got to know that I've got it at home, and I've got to know that when he says he's okay,
right.
I'm okay. We've even got that sub-talk, like, I'm okay, but we'll talk later.
Right.
Yeah.
The tone.
Yep, the tone,
Yes.
like right now we got this, or, I can see you're having a lot, put it on hold. I'm identifying it, but move it on,
Right.
We're into a different thing. Then comes that actual day where, you got the cell phones and you see it's him and it's, hey babe, oh my God. And at the time got a new phone, got my new phone. So I'm just chatting away and he's screaming, I'm at the hospital. I'm like, so what? You always make runs to the hospital. And he goes, no, I'm the patient. And it was with the kids were there and then you saw mom's family. I literally, oh God, this is it. You're the, okay, injuries now. I went into the nurse mode. Give me the injuries. What do I got? Okay, I'm on my way. And he asked me, were you really upset? And I thought, but I realized as I was going up the stairs to change everything, I was literally crying. It was a shock. He's not invincible. Our family's not safe. Crap can happen. It's happening. Oh my God, this is the moment. Okay, we can do this.
Do you think it was a part of the buildup of it might happen, and no matter the degree of it happening, like he broke his foot?
Yeah,
stepping off the truck, broke his foot, and then you hear
that.
hospital, and you've already made it. Oh my God, when's the funeral? Like your body's already there, right?
I went right into for me, it was list the injuries right now. I have to get into my nurse brain the extent of it.
And it took how many years to get to that level? He gets injured, and you've been stacking. What am I going to do when it happens? And it's a release. So you're just like trying to get out the door, and you just fall apart.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. By the time I got to him, I was much more controlled and fought, whatever. Got there.
The amygdala slowed down.
Yes.
But the injury was severe. It was 2 surgeries. He was out, and
What happened to you?
I was using or attempting to use properly the Petzl Save Yourself device. Went out the window.
Uh-oh.
I had too much slack. When I went out the window, I held down with my arm, and and my whole body was held up by my arm.
So everybody understands what that means. He was basically attached to a windowsill by a device that
rope.
Lowers him down, essentially.
Yeah.
And he didn't bring all of his body parts with him, it sounds like.
I had too much slack, so I was going to fall further than I wanted to.
Copy.
So as I fell down, my arm just said, no, we're going to hang on.
And
I could feel in this arm, I could feel the pop. I heard the snap, and then about 72 hours later, my shoulder started hurting too. So I ripped the bicep off the bone and I tore my rotator cuff.
Which is not life or death. But in your brain, after not hearing it for however many years, and then it finally happens, it could have been a broken toe.
Because we were told it was a pandemic.
Oh,
Everything
during
was
all that.
Yeah,
it was
this
right
happened in
after.
June
So now
of
my
2020.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
wasn't like 2015. I fell out of a window.
No. The minor stuff they were minor. You
Right,
know,
right.
he twisted the ankle. He fell through a floor. Okay, you're fine. You know, got up and he was walking.
Caught yourself,
you
right?
caught yourself. You're fine. But this one was a pandemic, and it was. The doctor had said it could have been a career ending. If he had not operated on him, it would have been career ending, which brings a firefighter family into a whole new concept, a whole new dialogue,
Yeah.
So, but he was home for a year.
That's
So
another
we're in
challenge.
That's a
We're in
whole other
lockdown.
show, yeah.
Yeah, we're in lockdown, right? It's June of 2020.
Yes.
I have my surgery. First one is I'm going to get the bicep repaired. I've got 3 weeks or they can't repair it. So they repair that right away. Then I rehab that. Then in October, after rehabbing it, they fixed my rotator cuff. And I got to rehab through that. I didn't come back till, I think it was the second or third week in January, light duty, and I wasn't full duty till like the first week of April.
That's a lot of broken stuff in
That's
there.
a lot of time off.
It's a lot of meat off the bone.
And on top of it, we're locked in, right? So
Yeah.
I'm home with her, and we're home.
And you're not just home. You're bound to the limitations of your injuries.
Yeah.
You're bound in a house. All of these questions are circulating with the kids that are critical thinking questions about a pandemic, worrying about dad.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see where this kind of got to a point of,
My God,
yo.
just sleeping in the bed every other, there every night? What?
Yeah, hold on.
Well,
I
actually-
normally like this bed all by myself.
Myself, yeah.
Well, let's not get too crazy.
Yeah.
I spent two months in the chair because I had
So
to.
I still took it over.
So we talked about, this incident here, but were there any other specific incidents or moments where the danger of Scott's job felt real or frightened you?
For right now in his career, that shoulder was bad. But when he called and said, "I'm okay," the active shooter that was in Dearborn, he went in on that, and I was, for me, I'm like, I know active shooter drills. I know this process. What are you doing in that bill? That one caught me a lot more. Hey, I got to talk to you. This is not cool. What do you mean you were in there? What do you mean you were? Explain this whole situation to me. And I just assumed outside where you see the tents, you're the medical response, And he's like, no, they go down.
We're in there with you.
We're in there.
We're in the
That
stairwell
was
with all the police officers.
more of the one that I could literally, that was the big thing being a fire. I keep my stuff controlled at home, so it's not easier for you guys, but that stuff's taken care of at home.
so we're not distracted and we
Yes.
can stay safe.
Exactly.
And that's hard to do.
It's so hard.
You're asking people to give up control and trust, and for humans, it can be very. You guys seem to have an extremely solid bond, and you're expressing that it's still hard.
We've worked on it.
It's hard.
I mean,
it's been 28 years of marriage, 30 years of knowing each other.
Right.
And it's been work.
The whole time.
We've done the wrong stuff. We've said the wrong stuff. We feel like between the both of us, we look back and do a reflection. That is something that's in us. We look back like, hey, I blew your phone up the other night, and I shouldn't have done that. And, I feel really bad, but you're my person, and if you're not home with me in the evening, where am I going? What am I, you got to be there. You got to take it sometimes.
I find it interesting. You ask the kids the same question about me, about things. They brought up the fact that I was a nurse and I was going to be on the Ebola team. And then she brought up the RTF. None of it was the fire part.
None of it was the
So
fire
I
part.
feel like I did do a decent job
Yeah.
there, right? I did a decent job there.
how much-
it's the stuff that I didn't talk about that they're actually worried about.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
Stuff that's also on the news a lot more. We don't talk about deaths and house fires as much, although
No,
they do
that's true.
happen. But when a pandemic hits and we're figuring it out as we go, and
That's
then all of a
true.
sudden, unfortunately, mass casualty shootings are popular in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I could see how it would
Yeah.
ramp up. And we're so safe at fires. We practice and we talk and we love and we get into it.
Yeah.
We're like, these guys got a game plan. They're fine. They're
Well, I
not
think-
going to put themselves in a bad situation.
I think part of it is it's just common for people to see us to go to fires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A fire is
That's your job.
that's your job,
Right.
right?
Go
But
put
when
the
you start
fire.
talking about the Ebola or you
Yeah.
start talking about an active shooter,
Specialized
those are the
RTF stuff,
out those
yeah.
are the out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? Like for us to go to a fire is
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, the guys that were inside there with me, they don't look like that on their faces when we're at a fire. It's the exact opposite.
Right. Everybody's chill. You're looking around.
It was
you can
all I
take
could
it
do
all
to
in.
keep my couple of guys, morale up that I was with. We were in small groups, and I was like, "We're good, guys. Everything's going fine.
Right.
Look at who's here. Come on, try to laugh a little bit," because they looked scared. You know what I mean? Literally,
hyper-focused, inattention to all
we were not in
sounds.
our normal.
We were out of our
group.
element.
So I think that goes to them too. They're not in their element. So when they see us kind of out of that fire element,
they're out of
that's
it
a
with
scary
us.
thing. And now look at all the stuff we do.
Yeah.
Hazmat, tech rescue, everything. There's so much stuff involved with our job now. The fire part of it kind of is like, okay, he does good at that. We know. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, that sounds weird, but you can control a house fire, meaning I don't have to go in.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I can call everybody out.
Let's say everybody's out, the people are out. I'm not going to, you have more safety control in a lot of ways.
I totally get that.
And it looks scary, but a lot of times it's so routine in how we approach it that we can predict what's going to happen.
Right.
And now we've moved into areas where we don't have enough experience to predict what's going to happen, and we know what the news is telling us.
Yeah.
So it ain't fun. It's a recipe for disaster.
Then we're at, the wives are at home. Family is calling. Friends are calling.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Is Scott working today?
And it's hard
Yes,
today.
you get those things.
And you're
then
trying to calm them.
Yeah. And a big part of being a fireman's wife is explaining, how many times I've been to places where, your husband's a fireman. Well, why did they park the fire truck right there? And why did they do that? And, and then you're kind of like, okay, well, this is why. And this is
why do they
Why did
grocery
food
shop
trucks-
every day?
Grocery shop was huge when the kids were in
Yes.
preschool. That was
Yes.
big. Yeah, so explaining the job. Because we've done age-appropriate explaining over the years, adding more layers, telling more and more, getting more in depth, and then got to go with it.
Right. So one of the things you got to go with is how often he has to be gone, and he doesn't always have control over his schedule. Like all first responders, our sick days are limited, right? We have some, but it's not like we can use them. Our vacation days are limited, and rightfully so. We got to be there. We're there to provide a service.
Right.
We talked about with your children the absence of him during these milestone family moments. How did you manage that? Because one of the things that's interesting with you, and we kind of talked about this before, is that you chose to be a firefighter wife with Scott. You guys chose to be a firefighter family.
Oh.
My wife chose a firefighter.
Yeah.
She got me as I'm already doing this, so if we're going to be a thing,
This is me.
this is me. Right?
Yeah.
So it's different in a way.
No, it is. And especially if it's your girlfriend and you're coming into a firefighter, it's, I got a fireman.
Right.
that is cool. It
Can you
is
take off
everything
next
about,
Saturday?
Yeah,
No.
and
No.
it's I'm going to text you 5 times at work. And I haven't heard from you in 24 hours. Now you've got a fight going, It's hard. It really it's hard. And being the mom, I was already in mom. I started fire department in mom mode, so it was more of protecting the kids. The best thing that I found coming out of having the kids do it was I was ready to defend all my answers. Like, Mom did this because of this, and we did that because of, and it wasn't. My kids looked at it like, no, we're a team. We're a unit. We got this, Mom. We did this, and this was fun. And then some things got too fun where he was left out.
Yeah. I'm experiencing that right now.
Yeah.
Because you gotta keep the kids entertained. They're not gonna wait for you to go have fun.
Structure.
No.
So you have to build your own,
Consistency.
right?
Yeah,
Just like
they
I would
want-
if Mom had a job where she traveled a lot. That's what I would be doing.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you were like,
Oh,
well,
it is.
I want that fun. Yeah, I'm dad too, but it's a
Yeah.
sacrifice we're all making.
I think some days you feel almost like an outsider coming in. You know what I mean?
No.
To a certain extent.
You do.
Right?
It's funny because there are days where you don't because
Yes.
you're there all day because you can be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
On your days
They're all
off.
gone and you're
It's
just
like,
home alone
Oh, the other
doing it.
dads aren't here. I'm here. I'm hanging out with the preschool is funny because it's like I'm hanging out with all the preschool moms.
Yeah.
She's all like, take the kids to school.
He didn't mean anything, Tracy. I'm just
No,
saying
no.
that.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
They're
hey,
great women.
yeah, super nice women. A couple of them are still friends, and it's like that's the fun part about it is that I get some experiences I didn't have, but
Yeah. You're trading.
still
You're also missing
I'm
a
still
lot.
missing those moments, And I think what made it so great for us was she's a great storyteller, and she would tell me a story every night. I was missing out, and the story would be what happened throughout the day.
Awesome.
And
It did. It because it started out messy. We can't lie about it. It was messy with the text and the screaming, and I'm totally, for it. You're frustrated. I'm now home alone. what happens when you guys go 24 hours? The roof's leaking, the electricity's out. I got to do the trash. I'm taking the garbage. I'm shoveling the walks. I'm doing, and you're just like.
That's when the kids get sick. That's what,
exactly. I'm covered in puke all night long, and then I'm expected to go to work the next day and be like, "Oh, hey, babe, I'm so happy to see you."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Does it change that tune sometimes? It's just not there. Or you're passing. We did a whole time frame where you are just. When you're working yours, the nurses are flipping in and fixing in between your schedule.
There's a lot where passing doesn't even occur.
Yeah.
Mom drops them off, we pick them up, or vice versa.
Drop off at the fire station.
And you never get to see your spouse. You never get to see them, because you're just
from
picking
kissing
up the
them to
kids.
high-fiving them.
Yeah. Let's dig into that a little bit, because we want to talk about, we've talked about it on here before, is kind of that reentry time, right? Where you are the two ships passing in the night.
Oh, yeah.
Or you've been up all night, the kids are puking, you haven't slept, Scott's been up for however many hours we've been up, and now there's that re-entry time. There's Scott's home, so I get a relief, whereas whoever the first responder is coming home and they're like, I've been up for 23 hours, and now I got to switch into dad mode, home mode, whatever it might be. Talk about the re-entry time.
In the beginning, it's such an adjustment. You're going from probie to firefighter 1. You're getting transfers. The great thing about the fire station, you get your schedule ahead of time, right? That's truly a bonus. You kind of know when you're doing great till the transfer list comes out. And then you're like, what the heck is the transfer list?
Everything gets tilted.
And then you're switched. And then, wait a minute, you didn't tell me about that one. Or what do you mean you got to do this?
You're literally encapsulating every fire wife I've ever met right now.
Oh.
You're like channeling them all.
There is much to it. It's you say I'm very, very proud and very happy and love the lifestyle. So many great things about it, you're proud of and stuff. And others, it is just damn hard. It's just so hard.
I think the thing that helped us out, we finally weeded out through those years working on it, was trust. I needed to trust her, and she needed to trust me when I said, look, I'm the one this morning that needs this. Or, all right, you're the one that needs this morning. Yeah. After telling me what's going on, I get it. Go to sleep. I'll sacrifice this morning with the kids and do what I got to do for you to get some rest, and then vice versa. Yeah. What you have to come up with is trust in that.
Communication. Our
communication is spot on. We're not fibbing. We're not doing this for the hell of it. It's like we got to look at this and go,
we've had the hard...
Okay.
You guys have probably, hopefully, all firefighters should have had that hardcore, down and dirty, I'm injured and I'm burnt. We've had it where, he's burnt 50%. Am I staying around going? It's just, what are you doing? The injury part, the whole part of it, you being gone, and, your schedule ends up being 4 Christmases have gone by and you've had to work them. We've just make adjustments, and you just kind of go with it, and you don't take away from the kids, because if you got kids, that's pretty much your main concern. So you switch the day. Kids never know the difference, or you learn what the difference was as they got older, and they're grateful that, Christmas was on the 21st and Dad was here, or you got that great guy that held over for you in the morning, and you spent that extra 2 hours. Because back in the day when he started, it wasn't. I feel like you guys have really developed into a much more thoughtful of each other, and you're looking at the guys that got kids and staying over and holding over, and you're doing a lot more. The guys are FaceTiming with their kids. I'm hearing about that. We didn't have that.
No.
So it was just...
You couldn't even get a text message, I'm on my way home, or I'm going to be late.
Yeah.
You had the station phone.
I was talking to my father-in-law about this. So he was a firefighter for 30 years, and he retired in 2004. So he didn't even have a cell phone, I don't think, when he retired, probably, right? So he went that whole time, and if he's going to be late coming home, his wife has 2 options: worry or not. But the rule was always call the guys that are late on runs, call their houses and let their wives know, or their significant others, they're going to be late. And the process, the logistics that took to remind each other it's all good, and that knowing what you can have now in instant communications versus then looking back, it looks probably more stressful than it was because you didn't have options.
It really was. Yeah, you didn't. we took him in a lot for calling, because it would be our check-in time. I told him everything about the kid's day, so that when what you guys call the re-entry, it wasn't, because we've had those conversations where the firehouse was home and I was living in the summer rental house with your children. It was,
It does get that way sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that checking in and giving them the updates every day not only made reentry time easier, but it made you feel like you didn't have to flood him with information, and he didn't feel like he was getting jammed with the news.
I'll honestly
all at
tell
once.
you, working with peer support and now sitting and talking with people who are trying to like get crap off their chest and everything, she was actually doing that too. Like, it was beneficial for her to talk to me, because that stressful day that she was explaining everything that happened, she was unloading it onto me. It wasn't always all rainbows and unicorns.
Right,
you know?
and you have healthy, good kids. Imagine if they weren't healthy and
No, we've had our share of problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
they're not
it's
dealing with
just-
long-term problems.
The
no.
easy kids are extraordinarily difficult to raise.
Yeah.
They're human.
Lonely.
Yeah, we are definitely trial and error people. I mean, like I said, that trust thing we didn't figure that out until years into it. That's like, she looked at me and goes, "No, you need it tonight." And I look at her and go, "Okay, you need it today." So
And to listen. Because then it's the wording. Like, now we've gone from the harsh, the swearing, the screaming, why are you being such a jerk today, to like, hey, something's up with you. We're gonna talk. I'm coming back to this. Right now we got to do this, but I'm coming back, and you got better have some answers, or we need to talk about this, or you can change in your behavior, or the way you're feeling, or what you're doing in the house. So you kind of check that person. At the same aspect, he's checking me, because we found that if you don't do it, it's that simple project of cleaning up the deck on the weekend. It goes from a nice, hey babe, let's do that, to we're screaming to get your crap and get out of the house, and I'm taking the car, and it just goes bad, wrong, really bad, and you realize, crap, I had a super stressful week, and I didn't get to talk to you, or I didn't get to get it all out, or you didn't give me what I needed, or we didn't tell you what I really needed. So
it's that open communication of...
And it's the hard stuff.
But I think it's also how you approach it as well. Like, if you see something that's going on, the best way to approach it is, well, what's wrong with you today? It's
the
more...
verbiage changes.
It's how you even say it.
We're more considerate, more thoughtful on it, and we're much more... we probably junior high, really got into the... Thanks. I saw what you did. Thank you. Or you caught that. Thank you so much. It was more of that please and thank. You're doing your job. I'm doing my job. And it was just really kind of getting back to each other. We're thanking each other that, hey, we're doing this. Kids are going all right,
So this is a good transition into our practical advice. What we want to do is give the green, yellow, and red. Green, what all first responders and their families should do to kind of create that cohesiveness, knowing it ain't easy, but you should do it and you got to do it. Yellow, it's an area of caution. It might work for some, it might work for others, but you got to kind of tiptoe or at least be cautious about it. And then red, things we just should completely avoid. And when I think the number one green thing I've heard from you guys is open, honest, clear communication of what is needed, so that you guys can create the priority list of, okay, we're both exhausted, we both got a lot of crap going on. What do we need for our
And it's
unit?
definitely what your family does. It's not, you can take advice. Having the firefighter family, you look at them, you take the advice from everyone else, but it doesn't say you have to do it. And you're not wrong if you don't do it. It's your house. Like, my rules for my 24 hours. I kept your kids alive. This is a new rule in play. This is what we're doing. This is how it's working. And you either have to adapt, or we really got to have some more of, like I said, those dirty conversations. Okay, so what do you want to change? What do we need to change? And that we are going to be changing it, because your schedule's going to be changing.
Yes. Well, and, kind of like how we got peer support, how important is it for the wives, significant others of any first responder to talk to other wives, significant others?
Firefighter wives are amazing. Girlfriends all the way up. I mean, they're just amazing. They'll tell you what they do, and you just kind of listen to it, or you're their person to vent to, or, we've had it where we've been out with friends and you're just like, I am so tired of this with the fire station, or, you kind of get a little honest with them. So medical fire out the door, because if not, we are 24/7 on. That's our thing. We want to talk about it, but the kids will even stop you. Like, I've had enough.
Right.
I think communication is definitely extremely, extremely important, but so is the trust. You have got to have trust in one another from the get-go, because this is the long haul situation. If you're a girlfriend thinking about being with a firefighter, or
Can you handle 24 hours home alone and he's not talking to you? He's not calling.
You might not be able to.
Yeah, might not be able to. Right? Yeah.
I know that nowadays it's a little bit easier, but we went with 24 hours. And then you guys always seem to have some extra job. So, and Scott did have that. So,
gotta have a side hustle.
Of course, you're always doing that. So now you're not 24. You're heading into an extra 12 hours.
There's most days they don't see me for 36 hours.
Yeah,
because I work that second job. But
it's very
trust
common.
and communication. If you don't have those two things, forget everything else.
And the trust is built. You're not just saying automatic trust. You're saying build the trust.
No,
you've
gotten to this
jealous
level.
people are like, what are you doing when I'm home alone? Or why aren't you doing this while I'm, it's just, I'm doing my thing. It's got to be me. Then we're together. It's us. And
those two things need to, I don't want to say they're easy to do, but they need to be ultra easy to be willing to do with that person for that to be the right person.
It comes back to the conversation, and like you were saying, how you're saying it, what words you're using, when you're using them. I mean,
the look on your face.
Yeah, the look,
Tapping into all of your cumulative experiences.
It takes a lot. When you're stressed out, are you really going back to the things that you might have learned or,
well, I think even taking time out just for the two of you. You know what I mean? Get away from the kids.
Get
away
from green light thing for sure. We
huge.
are definitely fans of that.
What's your minimum date night recommendation? Is it weekly, monthly? What do you guys think?
Honestly, I think it should be monthly.
Minimum? Your minimum standard.
Yeah,
I think that just should be your standard.
We started that. That was something that was kind of, we started it back.
We do something. We either go away for a couple of days.
Right after elementary school.
Every month.
Or we go do something every month. So, we just recently went and
significant. Not just you're just going out to the movie and a dinner. Like, we're doing a thing.
No, we went, we got an extra ticket. We're going to go out and have dinner, and then we went to church, and we listened to him play Vivaldi's,
candlelight
quartet.
thingies. We're like, sure, we'll try that.
Yeah,
one of those candlelight opera.
They're awesome.
So
by the
if
way.
it's
totally
cheesy,
recommend those.
whatever,
but you know what?
Just something
you're together.
different.
It's an hour of something different,
Yeah.
right? And we had dinner. We got dressed up a little
downtown.
bit. It was just the two of us, no kids, no dogs, no nobody, and it was nice.
Yeah. And just like we talked in previous episodes about disengaging from everything and having something you could fully immerse with, and I think what you're saying is doing that together allows this like almost meditative experience together where you're in the moment.
Your kids see you too, as your parent.
Yes.
Mom and Dad are getting their time together. They need it, and they looked forward to it. Like they got more responsibility when we were gone or whatever.
Yeah, because we started by leaving them alone. That's how we started leaving them junior high level. We're like, okay, we're going to stay the night someplace close by, but we're going to stay the night. You guys, we're leaving you in control here. And they're like, ooh, great confidence builder.
The house didn't burn down.
The house didn't burn down. It looked cleaner when we got home. Yeah, the trust
Neighbors
factor
did come out and talk a lot to us, but
so the top three greens: trust, communication, good, bad, ugly. Get it all in there, and then alone time. Connection.
He's not just a fireman.
Right.
That's not his whole idea. I'm not just mom or
I've taken pottery classes with her.
Right, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now let's get into something more sensitive. Things that are more yellow might work for some, might not work for others, but you got to be sensitive because we are people, and one thing doesn't work for others. And this is the hardest one. It's easy to say what you should and what you shouldn't. The middle ground stuff is like, ugh.
So for me, I had to understand how you guys were coming across with your red, green, and yellow. Yellow for me is, now looking back, 20-something years, people tend to take and get a crutch. So if he's coming home and drinking, it's, having a glass of drink, one drink. And then all of a sudden you find the one night it's 4. And you're like, oh, that's not his norm. What's going on there? So you're cautious, but what do you do? Busting right in. Hey, you got a drinking problem. What is, you can't, you're not going in full force, but you're kind of looking back at it like, okay, what's going on?
Are we coping or are we having fun?
Yeah. Is this just a social? This wasn't both of us at the bar. This was you coming home and watching,
So the cautious part is being cautious about how your partner is coping.
And even the women.
They're both ways.
Yeah, because
I think it's both ways.
You being gone, the stress. Mom could be doing anything.
I go from one glass of wine, no big deal. We both have dinner. You have Italian night, and we're drinking our wine. One glass, it's no big deal. Well, then he's gone, and I've got half the bottle gone. What's going on with her? What
and then the thoughts start going.
You're just kind of like, is there something more on it? You're just loosening up tonight, and it's just more of that opening. You're cautiously opening that conversation, or each of you are keeping each other in check.
You're not accusing.
You're not. You're really not, because you don't know where it's coming from. Some of it is just like, you got the night. You've had the weekends. Like he's had weekends where it's your week. You guys don't always get every Saturday, Sunday off.
Yes.
Crazy. most people have that. So sometimes we will do nothing. I mean, it's like pizza in on the couch.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, those are great. Those are great weekends.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I have got nothing planned for us. I am not barely going to talk to you. Let's just see where it goes, type of thing. But, yeah, and then other times you just got to, you're just cautious of it.
I think the other yellow thing for me is don't blame and point. You know what I mean? Like, and I say that just in general terms, but don't blame and point.
Maybe make your feedback assure that you're not blaming.
You did this. You did that.
You did this. You did that. I know that sounds kind of generalized talking, but even from the standpoint we have, it's like there were plenty of times I came home and cupboards were reorganized, the thought process had changed, and I just got frustrated with this. It's like, you're the reason we're having these problems.
I love how type A your whole family as a health organized has to be. That's what I really learned about you.
Our coping, that's our secret.
I believe I remember hearing.
Do you guys want to come over?
The label maker has a label maker. Right. I think I remember from Cole.
I'm about to hire Tracy.
I've told her, she should start a side gig, man. She's amazing. But I would blame her for it's not our fault. It's not her fault that she's reorganized. She's made things better around the house and I wasn't here. Maybe it's a little my fault.
And
I chose
her
the job.
That she's doing it not in spite of you, but in
right.
a way that's best for the 3 out of 4 that are there more than you.
I didn't think that way in the beginning.
Because you're tired,
So
you're cold.
You're looking for the screwdriver that's normally in that drawer, and then it's not there.
Okay, you make sure this is a must do. You set him up for success. So he was amazing. Storms are coming. He would have like a flashlight. Hey, I left you 2 flashlights with the batteries in them for just in case.
I did more than that. I mean, the gas is left right next to the generator. All the things are set up. Cole's now got batteries for us for the electrical
things
stuff.
I didn't think about, but you knew that might potentially come. He did a lot.
I would definitely recommend this too. Walk around the house. Nowadays too, younger firefighters aren't as in tune with their home and home DIY things as we used, as our generation is. Both of you need to go through the house, but share it with your spouse. Share it with your partner who you're living with and go, here's the shut off for the water. Here's the shut off for the gas. Here's how you do this.
Yeah.
Do basic things. We can't just drop what we're doing and come home.
Yes.
I mean, we
breaker
can,
panel.
but we can't. Right. But we really can't.
But I'm not thinking it when I'm trying to make,
right.
plain potatoes for the kid
and
that's not
when he
eating.
comes home, he does X. So when you do change the kitchen, you're like, hey, so you're mindful of it and you're aware.
Yeah, and depending on you put this in the yellow spot, you can put this in the total yellow spot. Everybody has to take action and know how to turn on and off things. But then I had to give up a little bit to her. Like, I had to give up a little bit of the DIY stuff to her. And it's like, just wait for me. And she's like, I'm tired of waiting. I want to just get this done. I want to do this.
This sounds familiar in my
and
mind.
then it's like, okay, she grabs the tools. And next thing I know, now I've got to make sure she has a set of tools.
And I've screwed it up royal. I'm just like, hey, I did it. Okay, let's fix it now. It's just move on.
I love that. All right, let's get into the reds, the stayaways. What are the things that are just like, you can't do that in a relationship, let alone with the extra first responder stresses that come with that?
So 23 years into this, the beginning, total guilt for sending those texts that should not have, they could have waited. The getting them on the phone and just screaming, my frustration is just screaming my lungs out at them or, whatever's going on. That was harder. I realized how hard that was afterwards, and we had to figure out some other way to do that. So we did the thoughtful conversations in the evening. We made sure we gave that time. You can't do that with them, and you can't expect them. It's funny, family. I mean, you guys get it. Like, oh, it's Christmas. Well, can't they just get somebody to work for them? And you're constantly explaining to everyone else, like, hey, don't call, he's sleeping, or hey, he's not here for Christmas. It's, we're going to do it this day. It's not a big deal. We'll just, to get everybody else on board with your plan, or you just make your own, do your own thing.
So don't expect them to be able to fill into what's considered the normal routine life.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Don't create the false sense of, he'll just figure it out.
Or that, your schedule is going to be every, you can look at a calendar when you guys do your schedule. Oh, you're off every Saturday but working Sundays. That's going to be it for the whole year. Oh, hell no.
No.
And be flexible.
I think that's huge, is just be flexible. And knowing the scheduling thing, I think is the worst.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Kids with activities, you get me
That's
with
it.
activities,
You know what I mean?
him with activities. It's just, and then family activities, and then
try to find time for the two of you.
Yeah,
on top of
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
other.
That's why, once a
stuff.
month might sound crazy to some people, but you might literally only have one day a month to where everything aligns up. The stars,
there were
the
plenty of
moons,
months that was all we had was one night a month.
Yeah.
That was plenty of nights
when
that
they're
were
younger.
like that.
When they get older, you start to experience that. And that's one of my milestones I look forward to with my wife is being able to, the kids staying home, doing their thing, having pizza while we go out.
It is. It's great.
Somebody's got to be we always said somebody's got to be controlled of the calendar. And that happened to be me. We had to pick you, him, whoever. Yeah. You had to pick it, and it's the keeping it going. It's the keeping it. I can now look at a schedule and know, I already know next year, okay, you're going to take picks come around, you got to do these 3. Or I'm already giving you the list of the picks.
Yeah. The shared Google calendars have really made my life easier.
Huge helper.
Yes, we did that. Yeah,
huge helper.
Especially when you got a bunch of things going on and you got to schedule the side gig, right? And I don't want to schedule a side gig on a day that you set up soccer day or whatever's going on.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. Does anything else stick out in your head of to not do, to be cautious of, or to stay away? Because you did say one thing earlier I want to say is never take for granted a hello or goodbye, whether you're the first responder or the significant other.
We have literally gone to bed so mad at each other, but there is no way in hell I'm leaving that house. I am not leaving without giving her a kiss goodbye. There's no way.
Yeah, like we
I'm
said.
not sitting there in those few seconds that something might happen to me that I might have left regretting the fact that instead I'm going to be like, at least I had that last kiss with her.
Yeah.
And
it's the simple things we remember and appreciate.
Oh, most definitely.
It's that reentry too. He's coming in. It's that hug and kiss. You're back connecting, or you're back to like, hey, we're back to mom and dad, or Tracy and Scott, or whatever. We're back in this. Okay, what do you got to dump?
Once I kind of realized I needed that, I let her know. I'm like, hey, you know what? I just need you to acknowledge me when I come home. It's nothing big. Peck on the cheeks, fine. Just acknowledge me. For some reason, that's killing me. It took a little while to do that, and then as soon as
we have some fun with it.
I think that goes under the green light.
But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest ones. I feel a huge weight come off my. Like, I'll come home from a hard night, even not a hard night, I'm gone. I know she's had one. You have this anxiety coming home of like, all right, what's that reentry going to be like? Even when you're both in a great spot, you're still walking in and restarting a thing. And I always feel like that initial hug and embrace is almost 30% of the weight comes off if we get that done immediately.
Exactly.
Okay, at least we're the good things there. The rest of it,
I'm going to hit you with the worst one. Here's
the
your
rest
hug,
is my
baby.
kid hitting the other
good
kid.
kiss, because there's some crap coming.
Yeah.
But
and there's a good chance too that you got to in the red area. Don't underestimate the person that's home. Don't underestimate them. I'm going to say that right now. Yep, you're the one that might have been on TV. They might be calling you guys a hero on the news, whatever. So that's all great. The real heroes are at home. The real people doing the real stuff. She kept it going. She kept everything flowing in our house. And when I finally, I don't want to sound like I just, rolled over, but when I finally succumbed to the fact that I just need to let most of this happen, and my life and her life and the kids' life will be better. And oh my gosh, did that really happen? It really made a difference. And it's not that I roll over. I still pick and choose my battles.
Sure.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, totally pick your battles.
But at the same time, I've really gotten to the point where it's like, wow.
But you've given up the want for control over a certain aspect.
Yeah, why am I doing that?
What am I worried about?
What am I caring about that for?
Right. So, guys, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing this.
You did amazing, Tracy.
Yeah, it takes a lot to be brave and come in here and share your 20-something years experience.
I'm sure there's a lot more fireman wives that are
husbands too.
Yeah, husbands too. They're changing. It's a nice change.
And then not yet wives and husbands.
Yeah.
Right. Those people deserve to be treated in that same way of learning about this type of stuff if they expect to be in that person's life.
To make it work. And make it work well.
If you want it to work. You guys have gave some really good advice that I think any humans can adopt, whether they're first responders or not. But you've given a really good, nuanced approach of you're going to have all these extra things in your life that you need to be mindful over, talk about, find a way to be trusting in each other, let go of the things you can't control, and get to tomorrow happy and healthy.
Yeah. And I think it's happening. Listening to our younger guys at the firehouse with families, it's happening. It makes me happy. It really makes me happy.
Seeing, and sometimes I think it's just the personality of individual departments, but I feel like family is more fire now, where it used to be a lot of younger guys being dummies.
They used to tell us fire was family. I mean, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It got hard, right?
But it was.
And it was in a certain way.
Right.
But I've had firemen who've been divorced, retired, and literally talk to me over a cup of coffee and go, I effed up big time. I didn't put enough emphasis on my family.
Right.
And he's like, and now that I'm retired and my family's not as close to me as I wanted them to be, I'm realizing that. And he's like, I'm glad to see that more of you are starting to stick with your family.
It's trending to more of a family thing than this like single guy job.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Oh,
it
for
is.
sure.
No, I mean, like when we first started, everybody was single.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
God, yeah.
You were
But
expected
I was
to
an
be.
anomaly. I was truly an anomaly.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
now it's switched where people are coming in with families already. But I think you're right. I think it has switched closer to we recognize everybody's got a family, and the family portion, the at-home family portion, I know you're the same way at your station, and I do at my station, is like we have families up for dinner.
Yeah.
The entire family.
We enjoy that.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
You have to.
For special events, Christmas,
And
whatever.
and sometimes you live so far away from each other, that's the only way your kids can meet the other kids.
Yes.
And then they end up
Yeah.
hanging out. I mean,
And
it
then
is a bonus.
yes.
You
Yeah.
get other
Yes.
kids
Yeah,
hanging.
we've had movie night before at station too. Where the families all come up. We all watch a movie together.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a huge difference. That
Yeah.
There's more of a focus. Like when anybody says anything, it's take care of your family first.
Yeah.
Like it's
that
just
much.
that
Yeah.
much to where it's changed to where it's more family focused than your fire family focused.
And I think we're seeing that a lot in probably what you experienced. You said earlier on that there's this huge expectation of what you're devoting to as a probationary. We're just trying to get the job, trying to get the training. There's this huge devotion. And this is, you care, you'll be here, and you'll do this. And more of that is like, we need you to give you all this, but hey, home's number one. I feel like they're marrying the two over the last 5-10 years. In what I know most about the fire service, my law enforcement and other friends I'm hearing, it's very similar to that now. But from what I'm seeing more of a combination there, which is great. That doesn't mean we don't have people not doing that. But it is nice to see more of a trend in that direction.
No, it is definitely.
But you guys get different positions too, and you're moving up. Now you're a lieutenant. You've got more guys under you,
Right.
and you go to the cap. You guys are captains. You've got guys under you. Now you've got families that I know, and it's like, do your job. I love those people.
Right.
Yeah.
Bring them all home safe.
I think you have a responsibility.
Just,
The higher up you go, is you're not only taking care of the person
more on
you're
you guys.
working
it's
with.
more levels on you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's plenty of people,
Yeah.
and I know you've probably experienced it too, that come to you as the officer there. Hey, you got a minute? I got to talk to you. It could be anything. Hey, I'm running low on money. I don't know if I can make the bill this. Whatever it might be. And you're like, don't worry, we'll take care of it. We'll figure out a way. Like, that's your responsibility as you
bonus
move
of being
up.
a second family. I
It
mean,
is.
Really is.
But you become that caretaker.
Most
Everybody
definitely.
who's underneath you.
I look at my guys kind of in a fatherly way.
Yes.
I'm not only the most senior guy at my station. I'm the oldest, the most senior, and I'm the captain.
It happens organically.
It is very-
You adopt it, and they see it too. It's unspoken.
It is very organic. It is very much like a fatherly figure, almost like a
Nobody
grandfather.
tells you
he
to.
looks like a dad. He just does
Yeah,
that.
he got a
whole
dad
thing
hat,
up
dad
right.
mustache.
He does. I'm like, it's you.
He's
That's
on my
why
list of
you
people to
don't-
call if something breaks.
Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of face.
exactly.
And I think you notice it too, is like when you take care of your employees like that, they'll do anything. I mean, they will run through a brick wall for you.
He will
Oh, yeah.
follow you to
And-
hell
yeah.
and carry gas cans.
Yes.
And you know what? Their family does too.
Yes.
Their family will, either reach out or when they see him, they're like, "Oh, thanks for taking care of so and so," or you've been easy
done
going
that.
with this,
Or when one of your guys' wives say, "Hey, what does Scott say about that?" Because they know that you're gonna.
hey,
The sage advice.
What's that
Yes.
old guy say who's in charge of you
Yes.
guys?
But I think that's important as you move up in whatever your job is. You have that responsibility. It's not in any book. It's not in any whatever, but you have that responsibility
Unspoken rule.
to take care of those people that are working for you.
And that's
yeah.
not just in the fire service. We see that in
It's
dispatch. You see when
everywhere.
Ryan Fessenden, who works for FST5, was a dispatcher for 25 years, he got into a management position, and he said part of the stress was adopting all of these people under him as his responsibility, not as employees that work there, but if they're not good as humans, they're not going to be at their optimal, and then it's going to affect all of us, the family.
there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
it
Right?
is.
know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
a
a
great
it's
way
a
to say
mindset,
that.
and then we all find our thing. So,
Yeah, that is very well put.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, you guys have a great day.
Yeah,
Is it
thanks
date
for
night?
coming
Thanks so
in.
much, you guys.
Date night,
Thank you so
Detroit.
much.
You guys going?
Going downtown?
Yeah, we might go have lunch. We haven't figured out where we're going to have lunch
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So.
All right, perfect.
You guys are so
Yeah.
cute. I dig it.
Nice and old and cute, but thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Minds on the Frontline podcast. We have more great content coming out soon. Please check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. And make sure to like and subscribe to all Minds on the Frontline podcast social media channels. Thank you, and have a great day.